Greetings, this is Lunaris Aileron, and tonight I'm gonna talk about a very random thing. Yes, a random thing. I decided to go through my idea list, my to-do list, and decided to trim it down bit by bit. So I'm just doing it. I'm doing this fairly sloppily. I mean, I'm not really in a good condition right now. The holiday is finishing, and tomorrow I have to work. Anyways, uh, for tonight, I'm gonna talk about Fate Kaleid. As as most of you should know that the Fate series is pretty big, especially with how big Fate Grand Order is, and how everyone is so crazy over the game, the gacha, and then the all the waifus and the saber clones. Even though I never played it and I don't really have any interest in it, but like every avid anime watchers, I do at least watch Fate Zero and Unlimited Blade Works. I think those two are pretty solid anime with great visual and and engaging story. Especially Fate Zero. Unlimited Blade Works is a little iffy in the story side, but it is a respect. Both of them are a respectable ufotable anime. I've also watched the 2006 Studio Dean and Fate Stay Night. I think it's not as bad as some Fate fans would say. I think it's enjoyable to people who have no idea about the backstory of some of the backstory of the original Fate Stay Night. But anyways, I want to talk a bit on Fate Kaleid. It is one of the spin-off of Fate. Yes, this anime has a shitload of spin-offs spin-offs. And Fate Kaleid is a spin-off about Ilya, focusing on Ilya and Ilya as a Mahou Shoujo. It is more an alternate universe of Fate where Ilya become a Mahou Shoujo and stuff happens. Uh, to explain this to someone who are not going to watch this, this is a very fan service anime, and worse or better for some people, it is a lowly fan service anime. And I'm not gonna lie that I actually quite like lowly stuff, but this spin-off actually has about 4 seasons. It's quite surprising how much it has for a spin-off. It has more than any other Fates. It is basically a whole legit Fate title of its own. But what I want to talk about in this video is that how I grew to hate this spin-off. Initially, when I first started watching this, I'm a little skeptical. It's probably gonna be a very heavy fan service and a very trashy type of anime. And yes, it has lots of fan service, and it's slowly fan service. It's not just a light fan service with panty shot and such. There's lots of nudity, there's kissing and stuff. It is a very it is kind of fan service that you will be 10,000 times more embarrassed when someone discovered you watching it. In fact, you might even get arrested in some countries. And here's the thing: in the first two seasons, the season one and season two, I think Prisma Ilya and Prisma Ilya Zwei, I really like it. I think this two season is surprisingly good. I think this two season really shows how to make a fan servicey action comedy magical series. It has a parody. I think it also needs to be said that the comedy in this series also is very satirical and parody. It parodies the original title. There is lots of references to the original series, and the first two season has a perfect blend of all of these elements. And not to mention that the art quality and the animation quality is top notch. The action scenes are pretty intense and really good. Great movement, great effects, great music. I think it's really solid. I think, and the fan service itself is animated really well. I mean, this may sound like super creepy, but when in season 2 there's a scene where the one of the archer girl kisses the black hat girl. I'm just gonna say her name. Kuro kisses Chloe. Hey, what the hell I'm saying? I mean, like, Kuro. Also, sometimes her name is pronounced Chloe, something like that. Kuro kiss Mio. The animation is really the kissing animation is really well. It's really good. It has great detail and it's pretty dirty. I think it's pretty. How should I say this? It can it can attract some type of people. And according to some Discord server that I went, yeah, that scene alone attracted some brand of people. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna provide any more detail. And the comedy is top notch, especially with it's not just the comedy content, the comedy timing and how the comedy is presented is really good. It can get a little slapstick and a little shouting. Sometimes people think comedy is just shouting things very loudly. Sometimes it can get that, but the thing is, the amount of these elements are balanced well. It has the right amount of comedy, the right amount of fan service, right amount of actions, and surprisingly, it has quite some dramatic and serious moments that expand and develop the characters. It's everything neatly. It's a very wholesome package. It's a wholesome elements neatly packaged into one solid anime. The first 2 seasons. However, I really hated the third and the fourth season. Even though the third season is technically the second part of the second season, but I'm just gonna say the third and fourth season. Prisma Elia Zoihars and Prisma Elia Dry. Yeah, the German word for 1, 2, 3. Ein, zwei, drei. Okay, the first problem with the third season is the Zoihars is that it committed the first 5 episodes to slice of life comedy. No actions at all. Almost no action at all. No, just a bunch of kids, daily slice of life thing with kids and some fan service here and there. There's another Ilya kiss the Chloe again for mana, standard fate stuff. And here's the thing, when you turn things that has multiple elements and you isolate one element of it and makes it the focus, it it's not necessarily gonna be good. Like if the thing has okay, I'm gonna rephrase that with an example. Uh, there is an anime adapted from a game, Persona 4. I think everybody know that, especially because how successful Persona 5 is. The Persona 4 anime is, I think it's kind of okay, even though I think it could have been better because it follows the main storyline, and it has some comedy in between the serious stuff. And then it has another season, Persona 4 Golden. Basically, it retells the original storyline with some few other changes, new characters. I don't play Golden. I don't know I don't know how exactly the new characters is portrayed in the game. But Persona 4 Golden is more slice of life comedy. It has very little serious stuff, and I think it's really bad. I think I really hated it because here's the thing that in the game and the original anime, the first anime, the comedy is pretty most of the time is really silly and very slapstick, and it usually involves the characters doing really over the top thing. And basic you doing the over the top thing like Chie being dumb, Yukiko being a weirdo she is, and Kanji doing weird stuff because he is a weird even though he's a Yankee but he likes weird thing that does not fit his face, something like that. But when you put that in a slice of life comedy anime, everything gets ramped up to practically the characters being flanderized to make the comedy. Everyone acted so over the top, and the comedy, and because of the slapstick nature of how the writer writes the comedy, it just become excruciating to watch. Some things should be taken in l- low amount. You can have too many good things. Like the comedy in Persona 4 works well in a small amount in between some other stuff, between the stories, between the character developments and serious drama stuff. But if you just isolate the comedy, it becomes very tiring to watch and not entertaining. The same with the Fate Kaleid, the first 5 episodes of the third season. The slice of life is pretty. Yeah, I really don't like it. I can't stand it. Everything becomes so idiotic, and the tempo, how the story flow, because everything is slice of life. The whole 20 minutes of each episode, it doesn't. Each episode relies solely on the comedies, and most of the time it doesn't work. Especially with characters, especially with how they flanderize the villain in the second season to become such a loser character, and I really hate, I really hated it. Even though the villain in the second season eventually become their friends, kinda. They fight together, but that's the main problem. The first 5 episodes, the slice of life episode of the third season, I really hated it. And then the rest of the season, I don't really recall much detail because I'm trying to remember something I watched a year ago. It's nothing special. I don't recall anything particularly good. Unlike in first season and the second season. In the first season, there's the fight with the assassin, and then there's fight with the dark saber and dark berserker. And then the second season has a Rin and Luvia trying to and everyone trying to catch the Archer girl. There's a lot of good moment, good good scenes in first and second season, but in the third season I don't really remember. And the fourth season, here's another problem. I think Fate Khalid works well as a mixed genre. It should have a parody, it should have comedy and parody, and everything else fan service action fan service, action, comedy, parody, and satire. And it should be that whole package. But the problem with the end of third season and the fourth season is things become so serious. It's actually when someone when I first watched Prisma Fate Khaled, I think the writers feels like they are just messing around, making funsies and lols, making absurd scenes to execute some fan service and stuff. But when it got popular and then actually become serious, they actually tries to make a cohesive story, a serious story with dark background. And fourth season just doesn't have much comedy in it. Any comedy in it is very very, how should I say this? What do you call when people force it? Where it's very forceful and unnatural, especially that the new characters in the fourth season are just boring. The bad characters are boring. The the girl Gilgamesh, girl, it's not girl, it's a Shota Gilgamesh is nothing special. And then what I hated is the new character is a very very bland, very boring, big boob character with no not just big boob character. She is also a Deus Ex Machina. I think what is her name? I think it's I forgot her name, but the thing is she is not just a boring character. Her comedies are very sharp and very forceful and not funny. And the whole story, let me get this. The background of the plot is very dark and dramatic. It's serious. And then you have this soulless big book fan service character trying to provide comedy. It just doesn't work. It just become cringy. It just become irritating to watch. I hated the new character so much, and then everyone else become less funny, especially that uh, some other characters are kidnapped and then brainwashed and stuff. So the funny part is gone, the parody feeling is gone, and then the fan service there's less fan service, and it just it just doesn't feel like because it tries to be serious, it just doesn't feel as fun as the first and second season. And then what really killed me, really stopped me from finishing the fourth season is it introduced another character, bunch of characters. This a very small girl. I think she's like 6 years old or something. And then there's a very serious scene with her dad, where her dad spanks her. It is a very, I don't know. I think with the way how the scene was animated, I think it tries to appeal to that fetish. I might overthink this, but with how the scene is with the how the scene is animated, even though it's not really a funny or fan service moment, in fact inversely it's actually a quite serious moment where the dad is furious. That's another thing I forgot about the dad. The dad is also a very lame villain, unfunny, not entertaining. We- Uh, he was set up to be some kind of sympathetic villain because even though he did bad things, he actually was trying to save the world or something like that. But the problem is how he was portrayed. You cannot have people with good intention, but them you make the characters look so evil, act so evil, and you cannot make their superficial aesthetic and superficial actions to be so simplistically comically evil. I know a shonen rule for manga editors in Shonen Jump or something to have characters be very clearly defined by their looks and their action. But that also means that characters loses subtlety and loses complexity that to be inferred by the viewers or the readers. But in this case, the villain just turns to be unlikable, and then combined with the spanking scene, I think like just, oh my god, my reaction was like, what the hell? This is not even this is not even entertaining because the kid is actually in pain because of spanking. It's not like that I don't approve some sort of physical contact with the. This is another topic. I'm okay. Back to the topic. I think I'm finishing. It was almost 20 minutes, but I think that scene really make me hated the series. I think it just I think it would be much better if I just remember the first and the second season. And the reason why I put this in my idea list is because recently the movie came out, and I don't know what's the direction honestly. And I think it also involved Emiya, the brother and stuff. But okay, back to the conclusion is that you should some series requires all of its elements to be packed together. If you isolate it, it's not necessarily gonna be good. If it will make you loses you the identity, something like that. I think I could have made a more elegant conclusion, but in the end I really hated the third and the fourth season, and I think it's such a it is such a shame because it has great art and animation. And personally I think fan service can still make can still make a great anime. Like Dog Days, I really like Dog Days even though it has lots of fan service. But that's another. I think I'm gonna talk about Dog Days in other video. Anyways, thanks for listening. Good night.